Hello, welcome to my desk. My name is Lena. I'm just going to show you my latest pages in my snack journal, and I'm doing it because thank you for all the views on my latest videos. I usually don't get so many views, about 25, 35. So having 70 views on just one video is like a double up for me. So I was thinking, is it because I'm working with these books here? So I want to make this rather long. It's almost like a vlog. I'm just going to tell you how I take tools from this book to make a page spread. So let me just begin. But let me begin by saying that, can you imagine how odd it is that you are in your creative life making a page spread where you are taking a thing from the real life, working with it in a creative way, and then actually are calling something out? That's the first for me. I think that must be like the fun thing about doing political satirical comics, is to see it play out in real life after you have made the page. So I had that experience last weekend where everything on the news was about, oh my God, the iPhone, it's going to be so expensive, going from $1,000 up to $3,000. And they were even talked about, should they lower the tariffs on electrical components, especially to the iPhone? And I was just sitting there thinking like, oh my God, I feel I called it out, because 11 days ago I made this page right here where I observed that, okay, they're gonna do a 100% domestic homegrown iPhone, and it's gonna be so expensive, you know. Not only when you are starting the production, you have to build the factory, and all the components to your factory has to be lifted through a tariff wall, and then your finished products has to be lifted through yet another tariff wall to reach markets outside of US. So I think this satirical art journal here also in a way can predict things to come if you start pondering about what's going on, you know. So the same with this page right here, where I'm dealing with to get a zero trade balance or even leaning surplus towards America is going to be difficult for a smaller country to reach. So should that actually be a valid goal in a negotiation about fair trade between two countries? You at least should look at the size of your, and I don't even want to use the word business partner, because the vibes that the rest of the world are getting from the White House at the moment is that we are clearly not friends anymore. We are like viewed upon as enemies. So it's very loaded up with a lot of things that can be used for doing satirical drawings like I am doing in this journal here. It's like a circus that just keeps on giving. And I have to say that I am amazed about how easy I find it to do artwork working with satiric political message. I never thought that it was going to be so inspiring for my lame imagination, and I apparently must have a very vivid imagination, because when I hear something in the news, I immediately picture this page spread in front of me where you could set it up with humor, and it's very new to me, so I don't even know how to describe it. The best way to describe it might be that if you start taking pictures, you suddenly view the world through photography. Like, you view things thinking, crop correct, that would be a perfect image. So maybe that's what's going on inside of me at the moment, after I've been working with this art style for, about 2 weeks only. But let me flip through this book here, and so you can see what else I've been working on. And this stream here, or upload, is going to be mostly like vlog style, where I'm talking about the processes, because I am in doubt whether, is it these books you were interested in getting to know more info about how do I take things from these books and transfer it into a tool to make a page spread? Is that why I had so many views? So today I'm thinking like that. Like, I should talk more about what do I take from these books with me into my creative process. So it's going to be a long talking one. And yeah, just go brew some coffee. So let's get started. I am in the Making Comics, and I have been working with this assignment right here, where you, from story to comics into 10 steps. And what you first have to do is to observe something in real life, a conundrum, something that you want to break down into a cartoon by working with it. And basically what you do in this assignment here is that you start looking at the story, like what happened, why do you think it happened, and then you start working on your fictional page story that is going to be completely hinting to the real life. And then you start putting in images where you are transforming the people from the real story into animal characters. So you're making a transition. And here it's very fun, because you can choose real life animals that are showing off the strength or whatever you're putting into that animal yourself to depict your character. So if you want to depict like a leader, it could be like a lion, you know, or you want to depict a follower, it could be a sheep, you know. So you can have a lot of play with what kind of character you want to transform into an animal. And then you filter in the story, and you have to translate the story from real life into your cartoon story. And that I worked so much with. It was really difficult. So it may look like my page spreads are just shooting straight from the hip, but there is actually a lot of groundwork built into my page spread. So I want to, before I can start showing you my page spread, I need to tell you about the real life story. The real life story takes place me watching the news, and 2 days earlier there was an interview with Donald Trump saying that the tariffs, they are here to stay. We are looking long term, they are here to stay. And I was thinking that's good news that they come out with this statement, because it might build some stability on the stock market. Then 2 days after, everything is flipped around. Suddenly the information from the White House is that all the tariffs was just BS. The function of them is that they're gonna bring countries to a negotiation table where America is going to negotiate a better deal. And here I think that a better deal would be like a zero tariff situation or something. So can you see how these two conflicts are working against each other? You cannot first come out and say, I'm gonna build tariff walls to create a hidden income tax, like a hidden tax for our government through tariffs, and then later on you are coming out to say, I only used the tariff walls to negotiate zero tariffs. So there is a conflict there that my brain caught on, thinking like, oh my God, this is just a complete flip of the scenario. Like, in the middle of everything, it can get more confusing. And then the spokeswoman from the White House came out answering exactly that question from a journalist. And her answer was, well, haven't you read about the art of the deal? And her response, I translated it into, ha ha ha, you all got bluffed. You all got fooled. So now we are in this situation. And I was thinking, that cannot, I mean, maybe I'm interpreting the situation wrong. But no, hours later, Donald Trump himself came in front of reporters and said that he needed to do the trick with all the tariffs in order to get people to the negotiation table. Because if he had just reached out, none would have come. So he had to set up this trap. And I was thinking that was like the most expensive trap in the world. It wiped out $10 trillion, you know. So I need to work with this in a comical way to understand what was going on. So the first thing I did in this story context here was that I need to dig in and investigate what is the art of the deal. So what I'm working with is first looking into what the hell is the art of the deal. And what I came up with was that I have not read the book, but I can see that he is actually following step by step a method of doing business that if he gets his way all the way through all the steps, he will have an end scenario where he would feel like a winner. So I was looking into that, and some of the steps I can kind of see being used tactically in a strategic, real situation that's been going on between United States and Denmark. One of the steps is to promote aggressively, which means that you insult your enemy. You tell friends that they are no longer friends anymore. And I must say that he has successfully done that step. Then you come in with a truthful hyperbole, hinting a military option that creates tension. Then you maximize your options. You keep multiple deals open to increase flexibility and leverage. Then you fight back, never let a no sit unchallenged. And then you control the frame. And the way that Trump has been controlling the frame from a very early on is that he has been accusing Denmark of being nasty people and a bad trading partner and a bad ally. And it came out of the blue, you know, so we were thinking, why are we a bad ally, you know? And then to make this assignment, I was looking at, can I find an example in real life where art of the deal has been used almost step by step? And I think I managed to find that. So now I want to tell you about what went down the 14th of March 2025. Okay. The 14th of March. Early in the morning, for some reason, Trump, he felt the need to say that he still wants Greenland and all options are open on the table. And what he is talking about is that he early on said that he would use military force to get his will with Greenland. So it was actually a very aggressive statement, like a warning, like I'm gonna engage in war to take a piece of your kingdom. Then hours later, he contacted Danish egg suppliers wanting to buy all eggs in Denmark for US, which was really odd because how about, you know, we need eggs too, you know. So it was a strange approach. And all the egg manufacturers in Denmark are from the private sector, and then they said no to him because there is not a surplus actually in Europe. So they said no. Then Trump did not take no. I'm going to say Trump because I don't know who from the administration contacted Denmark, but they are doing it on behalf of of his will. I don't think a lot is going on in the administration without Trump pulling the strings, so I'm just going to say Trump. Then Trump did not take no for an answer, so he went to our government, and he wanted our government to put pressure on the private sector to force them to sell eggs to the United States. Then our government told United States that, you know what, you have an American law, so it's illegal for you to import eggs from Denmark. So no, it cannot be done. There's like no way that we are not going to respect the judicial system in another country if we are aware of it's illegal what this person is doing, even though it's the president who's asking. Because it needs to be sorted out before they approach, you know? Like, that would be the most reasonable way of doing it, having a conversation inside your own country about we're gonna break the law in this circumstance because we are in a severe lack of eggs, and then get some sort of legal acceptance to do so, because that would be a valid thing to show the country where you're going to buy the eggs from that it is okay, you are not doing something illegal by selling me these eggs. I hope you understand that part. And then the conversation with the administration, with the Danish government, was that they put pressure on us, kind of threatening with, this proves that we are bad business partners. This just proves that we cannot be trusted, but we could make it up to them by importing chicken meat. That is so weird. So chicken. Our Prime Minister had to go public that evening with a statement about, here in Denmark, our government are not laying pressure on the private sector. So if the private sector is saying no, it means a no. She could have gone public by really speaking about the administration want to break the law in their own country. It was a very selfish claim to come and want to buy all the egg supply in one country. But the reason why she did not do that is because you have to pick your fight, right? And the real fight is up here. You don't want to irritate a sleeping bear that has threatened to invade your parts of your kingdom. So all this egg nonsense here, don't engage with that, because this up here is the real threat. And then built in was this counter threat from America that we are so much in bad standing after saying no that we could make it up to the US by buying their chicken. I have to say that this was such an intense day here in Denmark that I needed to somehow look into that. And I did that by making a comic strip, making this my story, because I can see some cross-cultural differences in play here, where he might have used his art of the deal and then communicating it to another country where it's being perceived as totally confusing. So I wanted to make this page spread, and I used the, let me find the section. I used the steps in Lynda Barry, where first I was sketching down what went down in real life. Then I was leaning it towards the art of the deal steps, and then I saw something that was clear. And then I wanted to make a scene of 5 windows, and the windows in the drawing has to be like first far away, then close up, and then shots of a conversation. So I needed to also build a dialogue, and I needed to transform the dialogue into an animal world where we are not seeing real people, but everyone is depicted as an animal in a nature environment instead of a political environment. And that's gonna be my comic. And the way it works is that when people read the comic, if they know what went down that day, they would themselves make the association link between the comic and what really happened. So that was the assignment that I worked with from Lynda Barry, and it ended up in this comic right here. First of all, what Lynda Barry tells you to do is that you can take something that has inspired you and that you, like for instance, I like to laugh, right? So I think it's super funny that I saw this clip on YouTube of two birds sitting in a tree. And for us humans, because, you know, I don't speak bird, I don't know what the hell they're yelling, but I know that they're sitting there just yelling. And that in itself is a little bit funny, that you sit in a tree and just scream out, you know. So there was this guy on YouTube who put voices on this screaming, and it was like, hey, what's your name? Tony. F you, Tony. What's your name? Is Eagle. F you is Eagle. And it just made me laugh when I saw that clip, because I was thinking that is just a funny way of seeing birds, you know, throwing outrageous, nasty sentences in the head of each other, sitting in each treetop. So I set my story frame using that. And this is Trump. He's sitting in a banana tree, because I think what's going on in the state is if it continues down that thread, it could very well end in the building of some sort of a banana republic if somebody don't pull the brake. So he's yelling, hey, Tony, F you, Tony. And this is symbolizing Denmark in an apple tree. Tony, I want to buy your tree. Not for sale. F you, Tony. Tony, give me your tree. No. Then sell me all your apples. Not selling. F you, Tony. I want to talk with your wife. Tell Tony to sell me his apples. And then the wife says, you know your mother don't allow you buying apples. And then he freaks out. I warned you. Don't bring my mother into this. Listen, I warned you. Now you can make it up to me by buying all my bananas. And that is actually the way that I worked with, you know, the story, and it cracked me up, because I really think, to be honest, I don't think that Trump is interested that much in eggs. I think he want to open up a door for Denmark to start importing the chickens. And I tell you why I think like this. I think like this because in America it takes about 6 to 8 weeks from birth to ready to slaughter grow chickens. And there must be some farmers that are caught in the trade war with China, having a shitload of chickens ready to sell to the Chinese market, because China is taking so many chickens from the American farmers that the administration must be aware of that fact, that the meat industry is getting caught in the middle with the Chinese tariff war. So I think very early on in March, there must be some smart people in the White House thinking that this could end like really bad for some farmers, getting caught in the middle if negotiations aren't done quickly in between the countries. And I think like that because I don't want to think that what they're doing right now is just day by day. There must be some clever people who has a strategy. Otherwise, the woman from the White House wouldn't have come out saying that it was just a bluff. You all got played. We got a plan B that we has been rolling out from the start, you know. So this drawing cartoon here is illustrating the use of the art of the deal. With first comes the insult, F you Tony, and then comes the claim that he want to buy the whole tree and it's not for sale. Then he want the tree for free, like he don't even want to pay for it, he just want to have it. And then he says, then sell me all your apples, and it's still like no. And then he don't take no for an answer. He wants to talk to the wife. And then the wife's refer to the mother, like, you know you're not allowed to buy any apples. And then he freaks out and comes with a threat, like, you know, because you say no to me, you have to buy all my bananas. So the whole day for this bird might have been when he woke up that, okay, I'm gonna sell my bananas. They are ripe to sell. So how can I, through the art of the deal, put my neighbor, who I know don't eat bananas, to make them buy my banana using pressure? So that is what's going on in this page spread here, and how I worked with the Lynda Barry steps. Is that I took the situation out of its real life context into nature using birds, and I followed the steps about having 5 or 6 windows. I got 4 windows closed and then the last window open, and then I made sure that all the windows are getting closer and closer and closer to the dialogue. You know, like here you see them from a distance, and then you end up removing everything behind them and just the triangle people, you know, in the conversation. Yeah, does this make sense? But this setup here is actually in a textbook example of you have to rewrite what happened in real life into this fictional dialogue that will communicate the pressure tactic. And then you have to shift from window to window. Yeah, I'm so bad at explaining, but that's how I worked with this assignment called the story filter. And I think it's called the story filter because when you take things from real life and has to configure it into a fictional universe using fictional animals, you have to make sure that you put your story through like a filter where the essence come out. So I think that worked okay. Yeah, I'm sorry for explaining it so bad. But it is a little bit confusing to read in this book here because Lynda Barry don't know what your story is, so she has to explain this in a top level, and you have to use your own brain to extract what you need for your page spread. So it is difficult to pass on the assignments in these books, how I worked with it. And then I have made this page spread here. It says, look at the tourist imbalance. Europe are ripping us off. They must send more people. And then I draw Donald Trump here. And I made this spread here because there was a lot of talk about tourism is falling, and the reason for that is that there is a very uncertainty, like suddenly it's dangerous to travel to the United States because people are getting picked at the border and then thrown in as some sort of detention for several days without having a trial. And it can be because they are checking your phone in the airport and then looking to find things that makes them convinced that you are against the political system. And when I hear stuff like that, that is not the America that I was thinking. I mean, it's leaning toward imperialism. Where do I recognize this from? We live closer to Russia than America does, and these are the things going on in Russia, you know. So in this drawing here, I am calling him for the Orange Putin, because that is so not what I thought that America was going to accept, treating people like that, throwing them in a day-long incarceration without having a judge, a lawyer, a trial. I mean, so when stories like that starts trickling out, I think it brings awareness to the rest of the world. We pick it up, you know, because that is just a shift, a very huge shift. And this is Tariff Poker Made in China edition. I hold all the cards. All your cards are made in China. And this is a pun on the meeting together with Zelensky, where he was clearly using the art of the deal, you know, being the aggressor, like talking down to Zelensky, making him aware of, you got nothing, I got everything, you know. It's like an aggressive way of controlling the power, you know, power talk, you could say. So I made that spread right there. And then comes this spread, but I think we need to talk about something else before I get to that spread, because that's another assignment in this book here. So let me just check on time if this video is coming too long, if I should include that spread now, or if I should just end here. Oh, I think I forgot to say what was behind the page here. It's very important to also, you hear me talk about what led up to this image here. I don't know, I think it's like 30 years ago I went to business school, so I don't know what they teach people today. But I remember when it came to trade in economics class, we were studying Milton Friedman, and one of his key words was that if you want to build a successful company, you go where the labor is cheap and where the market is in growth. And 30 years ago, it was China. Labor was cheap, and it was a growing, huge market. So a lot of American companies, I think, started up production, you know, on that market. So you could, if you want to see things in a nuanced way, you always have to put yourself in your opponent's shoes. So if you took a second and then just step into Chinese shoes and view it from their view, you would be thinking like, well, you guys came to our country. It was not us asking you to build your factories in our country, and now it has become a problem. So now they are receiving punishment for that. That's, I think, how they would view it. And if I place myself in American shoes, I would be thinking, okay, I want to take back a lot of the activities that's going on in China and put it in my domestic country to ensure that we can build 100% American products, because that seems to be the goal for the current administration. And there is ways to do that without ending up in a situation with this trade war. And I was thinking about that because America has put itself in the situation where most of the things that the consumers are consuming in America is actually produced in China, because that's how they chose that it should be, to lower the price. So it's all about profit. So you have to think that the shift in the American economic trade has shifted. Now it's probably not profit-based, because if it was profit-based, they would still see the advantage in the way that the trade is today, where things are produced in the areas that can lower the cost maximum. So the shift scenario have changed. So now it's no longer based on profit, like where can we get the lowest price. Now it's based on an ideology, and the ideology is being, you know, closing up the rest of the world and being more like self-sufficient when it comes to production. So I think it's important to notice the shift in the water, you know. Also the shift in, now they're very aware of who they're letting into their country. They're very protective about who's crossing the border. So there was a shift in there's a lot of new signals coming from the United States. And I think that's why it makes me being able to do all these page spreads, because it seems like every week there is a new signal coming and I have to process it. So that's why it's interesting. And I want to talk about, I think I got time to talk about this page spread here, because this is like, I think, the best page spread that have come out of working with making comics. And funny enough, it's more like the last exercise, like full-on step-out exercise. So kudos to Lynda Barry when you work with her books from start to finish, and you really freaking take it seriously, you know, like really seriously. You will end up with this last assignment here that is yeah, like, okay, how can I explain it? Like, I did this assignment and I thought that I would never be able to do this assignment, because I think she is so brilliant, and I did not realize that by following the steps in her book I would be able to sit down and make the assignment. So let me talk about that one. Okay. In syllabus we get to know who is Lynda Barry and how is she communicating. And the way that she's communicating is also through a comic strip of herself in a daily situation, using herself in this drawing style where she's doing like ping pong conversation with herself. She often has a chicken. That's her voice, and it's a smoking chicken. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, come on, there gotta be an image of that. Maybe in this one here? No. I need to find it. It's important. You know, her inner child, her inner imagination is depicted in a chicken that also smokes, and it's coming in her daily comic boxes with inputs. Here it is. The chicken. The smoking chicken. And she uses it, it pops up. Let me see if I can find a page where it's popping up. She's drawing herself in a daily situation, having a conversation with herself, and then the chicken comes in with inputs. And that's how she come across with some of her statements. Like here she's using the chicken to bring awareness to something, because Lynda Barry is much about wake up, pay attention to what's going on around you, take that in and use it in a creative way, either by making a drawing or a journal entry into a story, or make a comic strip. So that's why I'm using her books, because I want to interpretate what's going on in the political world and then use that to work with her books. Can I find? I'm looking for the chicken where it's popping up, but maybe I should stop wasting time on that chicken. Her last assignment is very difficult because previously the assignment before was to take a real life situation, press it through a comical filter, where you in a comical drawing is depicting exactly what's going on, but with a whole different story. Like this story here is about this bird wanting to put pressure on selling his bananas. And there is a bone on how to set up this page spread here. So the last assignment was really scary for me, because her last assignment in the story house, it's scary because she wants you to work with what I would call a dead-end story. Like sometimes when you are pondering about something, but if you had to make it into a comic strip, you are lacking the last pun, you know, the last funny window that's gonna explain everything, you know, like the joke or something. You don't have the end game yet, but you still have a lot of pondering. And this chapter is about how you can use a conversation to make a comic strip that is not funny, but it makes people aware of an upcoming issue. Does it make sense? So you work with what she calls a conflict. And a conflict can be a lot of things. It can be you are starting to be aware of something that's going to be a problem, but because it has not played out yet, you don't have all the elements of something that really went down, you know, that you can work with in images. And a conflict is often something that can cast light over a future issue that's gonna play out. So of course I choose the issue with the chickens because I can kind of imagine that the farmers are getting caught into this trade war, having a lot of ready to ship products but no market to ship it to. So I was thinking, I do not yet have like there is not a current situation yet where this has been talked about in the media, but I kind of got a kick out of you know, I was sitting in my couch and then this played out, and back then it was like 7 days after I made this drawing. So I was thinking, oh my God, I should try and give myself that same kick, you know, like draw something, a conflict that I think is going to play out in the future. And then it would be fun for me to know that, you know, I kind of predicted something. So yeah, that's a strange reward that I get out of these satirical things, but maybe you understand why I think it's so interesting to work with these topics, because I am not a political person, and I am not a fancy person with a degree in something really important when it comes to economy or whatnot. So I'm just an ordinary citizen trying to observe the situation we're in and trying to predict what can happen in the future that's going to impact me. And the part with the chicken is so going to disturb me if pressure is going to be put on Denmark to open up for the American manufactured chickens. And I can see, if you look at the art of the deal, Remember I told you that one of the points in the art of the deal is maximize options, keep multiple deals open to increase flexibility and leverage. America got open leverage with Greenland, and then they can also rub our nose in that we did not sell our eggs to them when they wanted them. So I am thinking, could it be that the negotiation with Denmark, because Trump does not want to negotiate with EU in one total cluster, he wants to negotiate with each country in the EU, which makes me believe that he's doing that because he got specific demands for each country already written down in the back of his head. And I fear that when Denmark comes into the negotiation table, he's going to use leverage to give us a choice that maybe he will let go of his claim of Greenland if we start import chicken. That is my prediction. And it's going to cause an issue because in Denmark we are very aware of welfare, animal welfare. So and I don't assume that you know anything about the Danish chicken market, but I can just tell you so much that 90% of our egg-laying chickens are living in the free. You know, like they can walk in and out. They got coops where they can rest. They got sticks that they can sit on. They got hay on the floor. They can walk out in nature. In fact, we have a lot of small islands in Denmark. And if I just talk about Læsø, Læsø is a small island where chickens are living free on the whole islands together with some sheeps and some, I think it's ducks actually. Yeah, geese or duck. But because none of them really want to escape the island, they're just living there in the free. So all the offspring stays with their moms. There is no, they're not like stapled in a cage, or, but they got the option to go inside big buildings to shelter them from bad weather. They're being fed and taken care of, and every chicken that's running free in nature over there, sitting in bushes and trees and whatnot, are allowed to nest there if they want to. It's not like it have to be in a chicken coop or something. And that's animal welfare because the consumer wants it that way. So there is also a lot of things going on with the chickens produced for the meat industry, where there are regulations from EU that one chicken must have at least one A4 sheet of space and also access to an A4 sheet sized coop that it can go into, and the floor must be solid. Okay, maybe I should pick an A4 sheet because this is really, when you look at it like that, it's really, you know. Okay, I'm just quickly gonna run over how we manufacture chickens for slaughter in Denmark. First of all, this is the minimum space for one chicken, and then it also needs to have access for a space similar this size that is closed in as a wooden coop so it can go into solitary if it wants to. The floor is solid. We don't like, for instance, in America, it's in cages that are stacked with chicken wire on the bottom so that the chicken living below is getting all the feces from the top layers down to it. We prefer one chicken in one space because if you put two chicks together, they get anxiety and start plucking off their feathers. So without feathers, they are more exposed for diseases and cannot keep themselves warm. And in the United States, the regulation is that one chicken is having 40% less space than this A4 sheet. Like this is half. So 10 more would be like this. So one slaughtered chicken in the US got this space. And then they get injected with hormone so that they, after 8 weeks, are ready to sell. And they are being injected with such a strong hormone that they're not able in the last weeks of their life to stand up on their own feet, because their body is not built to carry so much weight from the drumstick and the chest. So they mostly lie down, and they lie down on chicken wire floor. In Denmark, that is viewed upon as animal cruelty, so we got a law preventing chicken farmers to raise chickens like that, because we find it unacceptable. So that is why I think it's going to be a problem one more time if Trump gets a no to the chickens. And then once again, we will be put in a very difficult political situation, because we will be viewed upon from United States as bad business partners. And yeah, it's just gonna, there's nothing good coming out of a discussion about starting import of chickens that are produced in the way that US farms are producing it. I can just say that I understand why farmers may go for profit, and they also have a lot of, I mean, the scale is different. Here in Denmark, it's not that many chickens they have to produce to cover the consumers' demand for chicken, but I can imagine in the US, such a big country, such a big market, you would go for this huge profit build-up system. And also when they started to export chickens to China, there was, everything is set into a motion of a profit-making kind of factory, you know. So that's why in the US, small chicks are being transported in conveyor belts. We don't have that here in Denmark. Chicks stay with their moms for as long as they can until nature wants them to part. You know, like just like kittens, there comes a time where a kitten and the mom kitten don't get along that well, so they naturally part. So there is a very different way of producing the food, you could say. And I think that animal welfare is something that a small country can prioritize higher than a huge industrialized market that needs to follow up with the demand, low cost, cheap, like inexpensive. Because here in Denmark, if the consumer could have it, so 100% of our egg-laying chickens would be walking in the free. But since we are up to 90% that are doing that, but the last 10% represent buyers like the institutions, like jails and other sorts of institutions that are more looking at the profit. You know, they got a margin. So I'm just going to say that the Danish consumer are willing to pay more, a higher price for animal welfare. And I wanted to build my last assignment from Lynda Barry about that topic by drawing myself. And also she's talking about starting in a daily situation, drawing yourself, pondering in a conversation about an upcoming conflict, and make that into a comical strip where there is no pun, no joke, no It's just going to be the dialogue itself. And I thought it was so hard to do. I've been reading a lot of Calvin and Hobbes, where he is so brilliant. I mean, the author behind Calvin and Hobbes is just my hero, and he's doing this task to the T. He can have Calvin ponder about a topic that's interesting to read because it makes you think, and that's not necessarily an end joke about it, but it's a lot of just dialogue with himself. So let me go through this page right here. So, okay, I call it The War of the Chickens. 300 million worth of American chicken sold, mostly to China. That's a lot of drumsticks on the move. Only they are not moving. There is a trade war going on. Should I be worried? You think Trump is going to try to sell us chickens? What's wrong with a little cross-Atlantic poultry exchange? Oh, just a tiny detail. Over there, we are raised like inmates in a poultry version of Guantanamo. 5 to a cage, no sunlight, floors made of wire, and hormones so strong that our body outgrow our legs. But won't the US say we are just being unfair trade partners? Ah, yes, because refusing a chemical-washed, tortured bird is clearly an act of war. If Denmark resists, we are not trade villains. We are feathered freedom fighters. That's my comical strip. And I'm so proud of it because I think I solved the task of having a daily situation of a conversation. So when you're done reading this, you kind of get a better understanding of the cross-cultural difference between how consumers are viewing animal welfare in one country compared to another country that is okay with the way the productions are made, and probably won't understand why don't you want our chicken, you know. And I also am glad that I have in there the whole thing about the chemical washed chicken, because there is a regulation in the EU about if we can avoid adding chemicals to our food because you digest it, right? And also hormones, that's also something you digest. You should try not to. So I think it touched bases with a lot of issues that will be a conflict in case it goes bad and EU is coming back from the negotiation table with United States saying that we had to allow meat products from United States to satisfy Trump. That would be a sad day for a lot of consumers in Europe. So I think that this strip right here would have been worthy in the backside of a newspaper to put things in context. So I am actually thinking that working with these books here was really a good help to be able to make a page spread like this. I never thought that I would be able to, because I was thinking, how can you make a dialogue into something funny? I mean, it's like you're missing a sort of a humor element, but I'm glad that I tried out the assignment. So, guys, that's how far I am in my journal. And I know that a lot of people might get sick of, why is it so political? Why can I not work with another topic? And I have been pondering about, should I try and pick another topic? Because I really feel that I'm getting educated working with satirical comics, and I kind of needed that in my... yeah, I just think that I got a little bit tired of sitting and painting, like, I ended up painting like small things, you know, like pretty small, like ears of frog, and I just suddenly felt a little bit pointless, just sitting and painting pretty things. I wanted to work with something that really made me study and investigate a topic, understand something. So I kind of feel that working with real life in a creative way has been giving me so much for the past 14 days. It has helped me to get perspective in what's going on in when I open the news, and it has helped me digest some of the things that I think are negative by putting a satirical fingerprint on top of chaos, you know. So I also think what's going on right now is kind of historical, and I cannot stop paying attention to what's going on. And I feel that some may receive all of this negative, like I am hating or something. But I want to stress that out, that I am not hating. But you also must understand that there are receivers of the American politics viewing this from the rest of the world, and we have a voice too. And we can talk about how we experience receiving what's coming from the White House at the moment. And we are seeing changes, and we are allowed to reflect on it. And this is my way of reflecting on it in an artistic way. So, yeah. That was a very long video from me, but I think I needed to make it in case that my high views from my past videos is because people might be interested in the tools that I'm using. I don't know, but there it is. There I shared it. I hope I share it thorough enough. So I'm gonna leave now. I wish you a nice Easter. So and thank you for watching this long. And if you feel like it, do give me a thumbs up. It helps my channel. So wish you a nice day. Bye bye.